Hello, it's Angel Larson's Film Review Channel. Going to the movies, going to the movies. Reviews. Movie 2. I lost my hat, but I got a weasel. The first movie that I saw, Super Mario Brothers. The Super Mario Brothers movie. The Super Mario Bros. Movie. The second movie that I saw, The Five Devils. The first one I'll be reviewing, I saw this last night, midnight screening, The Super Mario Brothers. Movie. Spoiler-free review. Of course, there's already been a Super Mario Brothers movie, Super Mario Brothers, 1993, Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, and that's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. I love that movie more than I love any other thing related to the character of Mario. I do like Mario. I haven't played any Mario game past the Super Nintendo. I haven't played Mario 64. I played minutes of Super Mario Sunshine, and that's it. I haven't played anything else besides maybe like Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga for the Game Boy Advance. So I'm not really probably the target demographic for this movie, Illumination Entertainment's Super Mario Brothers the movie. I feel that this is more marketed towards children who grew up playing Mario on the Wii, or children who are playing Mario right now. And given the reaction of the crowd, which I think was kids up past their bedtime, they applauded this movie, and it seems like they really loved the movie. But me, I really hated the movie. I didn't like this movie at all. There are numerous reasons why I hated this movie. The main problem I had with this movie was the voices. I thought it was a good-looking movie. I thought it was a pretty movie. That's about the only good thing I can say about it. I didn't like the characterizations of any of these beloved Nintendo characters. I really hated the humor. I hated the soundtrack. There were some really obnoxious needle drops, like AC/DC, Holding Out for a Hero again, after Tetris. We just heard that song in Tetris, now it's here again in another video game related movie. And this is a CGI movie. That song's been used in a CGI movie called Shrek 2 that some people may have heard of. I don't think any CGI movie should be using that song again. I didn't like any of the voice performances. Seth Rogen was the worst. Didn't like the way they did the story. I didn't like the way they did the world. It was really hard for me to find things to appreciate about the movie. As I said, I liked the way it looked, but so many things were just taking me out of the experience. Spoiler review. So yeah, this movie, they don't have the classic Mario Italian voices. It's just Chris Pratt doing his regular Chris Pratt voice. That would be one thing in and of itself, but the movie, from the very introduction of the character, is constantly paying reference to the fact that it's changed the voice of the character. The characters of Mario and Luigi are introduced through this commercial that they've made for their plumbing business in Brooklyn, and they're doing their accents, their beloved character accents. Then the commercial ends, and it cuts to Mario, and he's like, "Do you think the accents were a bit much?" And he just sounds like Chris Pratt. And that's the rest of the movie. I don't know if that voice has been deemed like offensive to Italians, or if it's just too stupid. They think that it's too stupid for a movie audience. But the way they've chosen to go about changing the voice is obnoxious. The way they keep referencing the fact that it's been changed is obnoxious. The voice that they've chosen to change it to is terrible. Mario is a non-character. He's essentially like a nondescript young adult. He's like Emmett from the Lego Movie, a optimistic go-getter who's just like an everyman. And Luigi's kinda scared. Charlie Day doesn't really do anything at all. It's like the most vanilla performance you could get from the guy. Worse than Monsters University. It's like just two non-presences, and it looks like the characters, and if you cover your ears, you can feel like it's Mario and Luigi, but this is not any Mario and Luigi that we've ever seen before. This is a completely different, new interpretation that is far off base from the norm, and it's not likable at all. The absolute worst characterization in the movie, as I've already briefly touched upon, it comes from Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. This is just Seth Rogen doing his voice, And the character Donkey Kong is like a high school bully. If anyone's ever seen Paranorman, the closest like point of reference I can think is this character is a lot like the bully character from Paranorman, played by Mick Levin. And he's like always like picking on Mario. He's like a princess would never date you, Mario. Look at my muscles. That's the characterization of Donkey Kong, and he acts like a teenage kid. Mario and Luigi are acting like young adults. It's odd. And the voice, Seth Rogen, as Donkey Kong, not something I would have ever pictured or imagined, and it doesn't work good at all, in my opinion. Toad is close to how I would picture Toad to be in a movie, I guess. I think it's Keegan-Michael Key from the Key and Peele, and his voice is like sped up like a South Park. And it's obnoxious, and I don't like it, but it doesn't feel like a horrible bastardization of the property. Other notable characterizations are Bowser and Princess Peach. More than probably any other thing in the movie, Bowser feels like video game Bowser brought to the big screen. Jack Black really feels like he's trying to do a performance. The only times it really sounds like Jack Black to me are when he's singing this song that I hated for Princess Peach. Just as in the video games, Bowser is in love with Princess Peach, and Princess Peach doesn't love him back. The characterization of Bowser is true to the games, but Princess Peach has been updated in a way similar to Little Bo Peep in Toy Story. And the dynamic between Bowser and Princess Peach is identical to the dynamic between Ice King and Princess Bubblegum in Adventure Time. And Princess Peach in this movie is just Princess Bubblegum. Besides the visuals, which are fine, Princess Bubblegum is the best thing about this movie. Princess Bubblegum is played by some actress, Anya Taylor-Joy. Then there's Fred Armisen's in there somewhere. He plays like Cranky Kong, Donkey Kong's dad. The way the movie looks is pretty cool. I wanted to love this movie. I'd only seen the very first teaser trailer going in, and I saw the poster. And I ignored everything else. And I was optimistic. I was thinking this might be a good fantasy set in the world of Mario. But it really just feels like a bastardization of the world of Mario to me. It doesn't feel like a good fantasy. The fantasy is not great, the story is not great, and the world of Mario is not brought to life in a very great way. The incorporation of the video game elements was strange. Princess Peach is like a super badass right off the bat, and she trains Mario to be a hero, and she trains Mario to be a hero by building these stages that look like stages from the original Mario games, which is just... So, in the original Mario games, did Princess Peach build all those levels? I don't understand. What is this? There are a few other things like that where they incorporate video game elements in a way that feels forced, and I'm not sure how it's going to play out when they expand the lore of this movie universe. The story is essentially non-existent. Mario is a plumber. He gets sucked into a pipe pretty much at random. It's just nonsense. The pipe takes him to the Mushroom Kingdom. The Mushroom Kingdom is in trouble because Bowser wants to marry Princess Peach. Mario saves the day with the help of Princess Peach, the super badass. They need the help of Donkey Kong and the Donkey Kong army. That's how Donkey Kong comes in. Once they get the Donkey Kong army, they do a Mario Kart thing where they all make go-karts and they ride on the Rainbow Road. And this is an absolutely pointless scene that goes nowhere. Bowser interrupts them on the Rainbow Road and kidnaps them all. Then there's a giant action sequence where the Mushroom Kingdom gets sucked into the real world. So the Mushroom Kingdom comes into the real world sort of like the Smurfs. I feel very similarly about this movie that I did about Pokemon Detective Pikachu. They both look good when it comes to presenting the visuals taken from the video games, but they both really bastardize the property. But who cares? The next movie I'll be reviewing, this movie was a better movie. This is the movie I just got out of, The Five Devils. Spoiler free review. This is like a French supernatural drama. It's marketed as a horror movie. I don't think it's a horror movie. This is like Petite Maman mixed with Raw. It's also a little bit like Aftersun. And I like this movie better than any of those three movies I just mentioned. I think this was a really great movie. I don't know who made this movie, some lady. I had time to go to the movies, and it was either see this or see Ben Affleck's Air. And it was the very last showing of this movie, and I can see Ben Affleck's Air anytime for like the next 3 weeks. So I saw this movie, and I'm glad I saw this movie, because it was really emotional, powerful experience. Spoiler review. So this is about like a weird little girl, and the little girl has magical smelling abilities, and her parents don't love each other, and they're an interracial couple. A black dad and a white mom. So this girl is mixed race, and she's bullied at school by all the white kids. So there's tension between her mom and dad. One day the dad is like, my sister's coming to visit, and the mom is upset. And the sister comes over, and the daughter's like, she smells like alcohol. And she goes in her purse and finds this weird liquid, and she uses this liquid to make a time-traveling potion. And she time travels, and the little girl goes back in time, and she witnesses the truth of the relationship between her parents and her aunt. It turns out that these people all have a history. There's a reason that the mother's upset that this aunt has come back into their lives. The mother and the aunt are actually lesbian soulmates that were torn apart by mental illness. And this mental illness was caused by the daughter. When she cooks up her time traveling potion, she's going into the past, and incidentally she's like gang stalking the aunt and making the aunt think that she's hallucinating. The aunt thinks that she's hallucinating this little girl, and it's actually her niece from the future. So the aunt and the mom were in love, and then the father was also in love with this other woman, and they were all like athletes, gymnasts. Then one day, after a gymnast competition or something, the aunt goes crazy because she sees the niece, the little girl, and she decides to light the gymnasium on fire. When she does this, she gets locked away for 10 years, and it also disfigures the woman that the father was in love with. So the father falls out of love with the disfigured woman, and over the trauma of this event, he bonds with the mother, and the father and the mother get together and make the girl, the magical girl who can smell all good. Then the father and the mother don't talk about the aunt until the aunt gets out of prison. And then the movie ends with the mother and the aunt together, and the father and the disfigured woman together. The main conflict of the movie is that the little girl with the magical smelling ability, she doesn't feel like she should exist because her parents don't love each other. A really crazy movie.